Welcome to Mind You Risk, where kings are made.
The universe is not against you. The universe is not trying to stop you. The universe is not cruel. In fact, the universe is far more generous than most people realize. The problem is not that life refuses to give. No, the problem is that most people refuse to demand. The problem is not that success is impossible. No, the problem is that most people stop long before they even give themselves a chance. You can have anything you want in this world. That is not a fairy tale. That is not wishful thinking. That is not some motivational slogan to make you feel good for 5 minutes and then fade back into laziness. It is a truth. It is a law. But here's the part that most people will never accept. You can have anything you want, but only if you are willing to pay the price for it. And the price is not money. The price is not luck. The price is discipline, sacrifice, and the relentless pursuit of a goal without excuse, without delay, and without compromise. The Ferrari you dream about, the mansion you visualize, the freedom you crave, the respect you want, the life you secretly imagine when no one is looking. It is all possible. It can all be yours. But here's the problem. People sit there and say, I tried my best and it didn't happen. And I tell you right now, that is a lie. That is one of the greatest lies people tell themselves to escape accountability. You did not try your best. If you had truly tried, if you had given every ounce of energy, if you had poured your blood, sweat, and tears into it without quitting, without skipping, without making excuses, the universe would have given it to you. Because the universe rewards effort. The universe rewards consistency. The universe rewards persistence. You don't fail because it's impossible. You fail because you stop trying. I want you to grab a pen and paper and write down everything you want to achieve in the next 4 years. Do it right now. Don't just think about it. Write it down. Write down the car you want to drive. Write down the amount of money you want to make. Write down the body you want to build. Write down the life you want to live. Write down the family you want to raise. Write down every detail of the existence you desire. Do you know why I ask you to do this? Because the simple act of writing it down begins the process of manifestation. But manifestation is not magic. Manifestation is not sitting in silence and hoping the universe drops a gift into your lap. Manifestation is about clarity, direction, and relentless work. Every single thing you write on that page can and will come true if you are willing to become the type of person who deserves it. That piece of paper is not a wish list. It is a contract with yourself. And if you honor that contract every single day without fail, I guarantee you that 4 years from now, you will look back at it and realize everything you wrote has become your reality. But here's the secret. The only shortcut to success in life is to never miss a day. Read that again and carve it into your mind. The only shortcut is to never miss a day. Because of 2 reasons. First, the power of compounding interest. When you show up every single day, no matter what, you create momentum. Progress may feel invisible on the daily scale, but when you add it up over weeks, months, and years, it becomes unstoppable. Small actions repeated thousands of times create extraordinary results. But if you miss days, if you break your rhythm, you kill momentum and you go back to zero. The second reason is luck. Some days luck will show up. Some days opportunity will knock. But you will never know when those days are. And if you don't show up every single day, you might miss the one lucky day that could have changed your life forever. That's why you must never skip, never delay, never pause. Because the day you skip might be the day that would have set you free. Most people don't understand this. They think success is about bursts of effort, about occasional inspiration, about working hard only when they feel like it. But the truth is, winners work when they don't feel like it. Winners show up whether they are tired, sad, sick, or unmotivated. Winners don't care about their emotions. They care about results. If you only work when you feel good, you will never achieve anything great. Because greatness demands that you act even when everything inside you wants to quit. That is what separates the elite from the average. The elite don't allow feelings to control their actions. The elite do what must be done regardless of how they feel. And that is why, when you climb to the top, you can't help but feel elitist, because you look at the people at the bottom and you hear them say, I tried too. But you know they're lying. You know they didn't give everything. You know they skipped days. You know they allowed distractions, laziness, and excuses to control them. And you know this because you didn't. You didn't skip. You didn't quit. You didn't allow weakness to win. And that is why you stand on top of the mountain while they remain stuck at the bottom. But here's one of the greatest obstacles of this generation. Distraction. Most young people today are mentally broken. Their brains are fried by endless scrolling, by dopamine addiction, by the constant need for stimulation. Have you ever watched someone on TikTok? Watch how fast they swipe from video to video, unable to focus for even 3 seconds. Their attention span is gone. Their ability to concentrate is gone. Their mental power is gone. And do you know what that means? It means they will never achieve anything great, because greatness requires focus. Success requires long, deep concentration. You cannot build a company, write a book, train your body, or master a skill if your mind cannot even stay on one page without needing to switch to something else. That is why I say your mind is broken and you must rewire it. Rewiring your brain is not optional. It is survival. If you are under the age of 30, chances are your brain has already been corrupted by years of scrolling, notifications, and instant gratification. You cannot focus. You cannot sit still. You cannot tolerate silence. And that is why you are weak. That is why you are lost. That is why you are distracted to the point where you can't even appreciate the good things in your life. You must take back control. You must rewire your brain. How? By training yourself to do the hard things, by resisting distractions, by reading books, by sitting in silence, by forcing your mind to focus on one task at a time, by breaking free from the chains of slave programming that have been placed upon you. If you cannot control your own mind, then you cannot control anything else in your life. You will drift like a feather in the wind, tossed from one place to another, from happiness to sadness, from pleasure to pain, with no direction, no control, and no power. That is not life. That is slavery. True power begins with mental control. A man who cannot control his mind cannot control his future. A man who cannot control his focus cannot control his destiny. That is why I tell you, rewire your mind or be forever weak, because life will not wait for you. Life will not slow down so you can catch up. The competition is fierce, and the world only respects results. You are either building yourself into a man of value or you are wasting away into nothingness. There is no middle ground. And let me make this clear. Being a man has always been difficult. It is supposed to be difficult. The beauty and terror of being a man is that you are born with nothing. Society does not care about you until you prove yourself. A man has no inherent value. A man's value is built. It is forged through hard work, through discipline, through sacrifice, through pain. And that is exactly why being a man is glorious, because you have the chance to transform yourself into something extraordinary. You have the chance to rise from nothing and become a giant. But only if you are willing to endure the hardship. Only if you are willing to carry the burden. Only if you are willing to take the punches, the failures, the rejections, and keep moving forward anyway. A man is supposed to be strong. That is his duty. Not because life is fair, but because life is dangerous. A man is supposed to be brave. Not because he is fearless, but because he chooses to act even in the presence of fear. When an attacker comes, the man does not run. He does not hide. He faces the danger. He protects his family. He confronts the threat. Why? Because it is his responsibility. Because it is his job. Because that is what it means to be a man. Life as a man is not easy, and it never will be. But that is exactly why it is worth it. Because when you finally achieve greatness, when you finally become strong, respected, and powerful, you will know that you earned it. You will know that you built yourself from the ground up. And that feeling cannot be bought. That feeling cannot be given. That feeling must be earned. And so I say this, losers will always lose because losers allow themselves to rest. Losers work a little and then stop. Losers convince themselves they've done enough. Winners, on the other hand, never stop. Winners work as hard as possible and still worry they are not working enough. Winners wake up every day and ask themselves how they can do more, how they can be better, how they can push further. And that is why winners win. That is why losers lose. It's not fate, it's not destiny, it's discipline, it's consistency, it's the refusal to quit. You could give the average man everything he needs to succeed. A brand new Ferrari, a full tank of gas, a map to success, a clear destination. And halfway through the journey, he would quit. He would say, it's too far, it's too hard. I don't feel like driving anymore. That is why most people fail. Not because success is impossible, but because they give up halfway. They convince themselves that difficulty is a reason to stop, when in reality, difficulty is the very reason it has value. And so the truth is simple. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is your teacher. Pain is the price of greatness. Pain is the gatekeeper of success. You cannot avoid pain and expect to become great. You cannot avoid discomfort and expect to build value. Every man of worth, every champion, every leader has walked through pain. They have been broken, tested, and pushed to the edge. And that is why they are strong. That is why they are respected. That is why they are remembered. The losers avoid pain, and that is why they stay losers. The winners embrace pain, and that is why they rise. The choice is yours. There's a truth about life that most people run from their entire existence. Pain is inevitable. You cannot escape it, you cannot outsmart it, and you cannot wish it away. Life will test you. Life will strike you. Life will hit you in ways you never imagined. And the coward, the quitter, will spend his life running from that pain, hiding from it, pretending it doesn't exist, distracting himself with cheap pleasures and temporary escapes. But the man who is destined to rise, the man who chooses to carry responsibility, the man who decides he will not live as a slave to weakness, that man embraces pain. He understands that pain is not the enemy. Pain is the tool. Pain is the fire that forges steel. Pain is the storm that grows the roots of a tree so deep it can never be shaken. If you are sitting there thinking that success will come without pain, without sacrifice, without discomfort, let me save you decades of disappointment. It will not. Everything of value is on the other side of pain. Do you want to build a strong body? It will hurt. Do you want to build wealth? It will hurt. Do you want respect, influence, legacy? It will hurt. There is no achievement without pain because pain is the filter that separates the weak from the strong. And you know what? That's the beauty of it. That's why the treasure is valuable, because not everyone is willing to pay the price. If it were easy, it would be worthless. If everyone could do it, it would mean nothing. Scarcity creates value, and the rarest resource on this earth is not money, not gold, not diamonds. It is discipline, it is grit, it is resilience. That's why those who have it are admired, followed, respected, and remembered. Let me tell you this. Being a man is not about avoiding fear or hiding from challenges. Being a man is about standing in front of fear and saying, I am here anyway. A man is not fearless. He simply chooses bravery in the face of fear. When the moment comes, when danger arrives, when life demands you to act, you don't get to run. You don't get to say, I don't feel like it. You do what must be done. That is the essence of masculinity. That is the essence of duty. That is why men who rise above mediocrity are so rare, because they accept responsibility that others avoid. But here's the cruel and beautiful truth about being a man. You are born without value. Society does not care about you simply because you exist. Nobody hands you respect. Nobody hands you influence. Nobody gives you admiration. You must build it. You must earn it. And you must fight for it every single day. That is both terrifying and empowering. Terrifying because you begin with nothing. Empowering because you can become anything. If you are willing to embrace the struggle, you can build yourself into something greater than you ever imagined. You can become a leader, a warrior, a man of influence, a protector, a provider, a force that commands respect wherever he goes. But you cannot achieve any of that by quitting. You cannot achieve any of that by hiding. You cannot achieve any of that by living as a coward. Losers always quit. That is the defining trait of a loser. Not his circumstances, not his lack of resources, not even his bad luck. A loser is defined by his willingness to quit. You can give a loser everything: money, tools, opportunities, connections, and he will still fail, because when the road gets long and the nights get cold, he will stop. He will say, this is too much. This is too hard. I can't do this anymore. And he will walk away. That is why losers stay losers. It is not fate. It is choice. On the other hand, winners never quit. Winners refuse to stop, no matter how painful, no matter how exhausting, no matter how hopeless it feels. Winners are not stronger because they were born that way. Winners are stronger because they trained themselves to endure. They conditioned themselves to keep moving forward, even when every part of their body and mind screamed to stop. That is the secret. Not talent, not luck, but the refusal to quit. Think about this. You could hand an average man a treasure map, a full tank of gas, and a clear set of directions. You could make it so simple that all he has to do is follow the steps, and at the end, riches and success await him. And still, most men would quit halfway. They would say, it's too far. I'm too tired. I don't feel like it today. That is why the world is divided into winners and losers. That is why the successful are so few and the failures are so many. Because quitting is easy. Quitting is tempting. Quitting is comfortable. And most people choose comfort over greatness. But here's what they don't realize. Quitting has a cost too. There is pain in becoming great, but there is also pain in remaining weak. There is pain in becoming disciplined, but there is also pain in living with regret. There is pain in training your body, but there is also pain in living sick and frail. There is pain in building wealth, but there is also pain in being broke and powerless. You cannot escape pain. You can only choose your version of it. And the pain of discipline will always cost less than the pain of regret. The pain of hard work will always be lighter than the pain of wasted potential. You must decide what kind of pain you are willing to endure. Will you endure the pain of growth, the pain of struggle, the pain of discipline? Or will you endure the pain of regret, the pain of weakness, the pain of a wasted life? The choice is always yours. And the truth is, the longer you run from the pain of growth, the heavier the pain of regret becomes. One day, you will wake up, look in the mirror, and realize you wasted your potential. That realization will haunt you forever. And no escape, no distraction, no excuse will ever silence it. So I tell you now, embrace the pain. Don't run from it. Don't hide from it. Seek it, chase it. Whatever you hate is what you need. If you hate running, then run. If you hate studying, then study. If you hate discipline, then discipline yourself. Because the very thing you avoid is the very thing that will transform you. The things you despise are the tools you need most. That is how you rewire your mind. That is how you forge strength. That is how you build resilience. I remember what my coach once told me. Whatever you hate the most is exactly what you need the most. I hated running, but he made me run. I hated it because it was painful. It was uncomfortable. It exposed my weakness. But precisely because of that, it was what I needed. And when I embraced it, when I forced myself to do it anyway, I became stronger. That is life in a nutshell. You cannot avoid the hard things and expect to grow. You must do the things you don't want to do, because that is how you build the man you are meant to be. And understand this: resilience is not built in comfort. Discipline is not built in convenience. Strength is not built in ease. They are built in discomfort, in struggle, in challenge, in pain. If you always run to what is easy, you will remain weak. If you always chase what feels good, you will remain small. But if you choose the harder path, if you willingly embrace the uncomfortable, you will transform into something unstoppable. There are two types of men in this world: those who let their feelings control their actions, and those who let their duty control their actions. The first group lives as slaves. Slaves to emotions, slaves to laziness, slaves to fear. They only act when they feel like it. They only move when it's convenient. And because feelings are unstable, they achieve nothing consistent. The second group, the real men, are guided by duty, by discipline, by responsibility. They act not because they feel like it, but because it must be done. And that is why they win. That is why they rise. That is why they build empires while others waste away. Your last name, your family, your legacy, these things should matter to you more than your temporary feelings. Your duty to your bloodline, to your ancestors, to your God, this is what should drive you. Do you want to be remembered as the man who gave up, the man who quit, the man who wasted his chance? Or do you want to be remembered as the man who rose, who fought, who endured, who built something worth leaving behind? That is your choice. That is your responsibility. And it is a responsibility you cannot run from. Every generation of men before you suffered, fought, endured, and survived so that you could stand here today. They faced war, famine, disease, and hardship. They built the world you live in. And what do you do with that inheritance? Do you honor it by becoming strong, disciplined, and relentless? Or do you spit on it by living weak, distracted, and lazy? Think about that the next time you feel like quitting. Think about that the next time you make an excuse. Your ancestors are watching. God is watching. And you will have to answer for what you did with the life you were given. So when I say quitting is the worst thing you can do, I mean it. You can recover from failure, but you cannot recover from quitting. You can rebuild after loss, but you cannot rebuild if you refuse to try again. Quitting is final. Quitting is death. And that is why it is the ultimate sin. God himself cannot make a quitter valuable, because value comes from enduring difficulty. The destination only matters because the road is hard. If it were easy, if it required no sacrifice, then reaching it would mean nothing. That is why quitters never reach it. They refuse to pay the price. And that is why they remain forgotten, irrelevant, worthless. The men who change the world, the men who inspire, the men who lead, they are the ones who refuse to quit, no matter what. They faced pain, fear, and hopelessness, but they kept going. And because of that, they rose above. They became legends. And so can you. If you decide to embrace the pain, to carry the burden, to never quit, no matter what.